A really competitive day out there. It was great to see those guys run around. Came out pretty much injury-free other than, M, which we got to check on. Kind of got rung at the end of that big-time 4th and 2 at the end of the game. But other than that, felt pretty healthy, felt pretty good. I like the bounce back from the first half to the second, eliminate some of those penalties that really, shot ourselves in the foot in that first half. And it was really good to see those guys bounce back and do some things really well.
Yeah, Coach, on the fourth. Here, protocols. Coach, on the 4th and 2, did it look like he had an option there?
Yeah, he had an option to get the ball out. I got to take a look at it from what we looked and from what we saw it. It was going to their sideline, but he had a chance to throw that thing to his running back and get it to him potentially. I don't want to make that decision right now. I got to look at some tape and see what he saw and all those things. Never want to second guess the young man when he's out there playing, but we didn't get it. Made a valiant effort, had an opportunity to get it out there, and we got to make that play so we can continue that drive and try to win the football game.
And just as a follow-up, were you pleased with the rushing attack today?
Got to go back and look at it completely, but you got 2 sacks. It looked like we had pretty good pressure. It looked like they developed and devoted a lot of time to protecting us with a bunch of chippers, keeping people in. So that's always a good sign when you got some people going. Obviously, got a lot of 4-man rush. Obviously, got a chance to spin those guys in late. Obviously got a chance to get James in later into the game in certain situations just to give people a blow. D-Lo at the end, rushing off the passer. There was a couple series there which you'd like to look a little bit better, particularly that 2 minute at the end of the half. But for the most part, I'd have to say yes, and I'm going to go see the tape and see how it looked all over up front.
Coach, Nathan Carter was the guy involved last week in the injury, right? He was the ball carrier in that play. He comes back this week and has that, long rushing touchdown. What can you say about him and just like that mentality? Because that was a scary thing last week.
Yeah, no doubt, man. He plays with a fierce running style. He's hard to get down to the ground. He showed it a couple times tonight. He carries the ball, and we're very fired up to have him. He runs really tough. He's a hard tackle. There's no doubt about that. To see him break out today versus another tough look, and he broke the line of scrimmage, able to get out of there and show his speed. He's one of those young players, man, that's just fighting for a spot in his roster, and he shows up every single week and shows us why he should be on it.
Did you speak to him at all last week after what happened?
Yeah, I was right there with him. When he was on the knee, I think I had my hand on his shoulder. He was able to see that stuff. And, obviously, you never want to see those things happen when those kind of things happen. And you got to be there to console your guys when those do happen to make sure that he's okay. And he wants to make sure that the guy that he hurt was also okay.
Didn't see Jalen Walker out there. He didn't suit up, right?
Jalen Walker, obviously, as you guys saw, we had the couple days in practice with those guys and had 2 practices. Kind of hurt himself a little, tweaked his groin a little bit on that last play that he was in the joint practices, so we held him tonight. Looking forward to getting him back out there next week.
It looked like Xavier played a lot of snaps tonight. He's had a heavy workload this week. How do you think he's handling everything that's been thrown at him so far?
I think X-Man is doing a really good job. He's going out there playing safety for us. Obviously, you pull those guys, always got to be emergency. Black went down a couple snaps in the second half, so he had to go back out there for him. So that's always something you got to pick up for and be able to go out there. So, X can handle anything you give him. He's worked himself into excellent shape. He's done a nice job of picking up the defense, done a really nice job of rotating the first group, second group with all those guys and playing. And I couldn't be more pleased where he is in his game.
It feels like James Pierce has taken more reps than anybody since y'all started training camp, practice, games, everything. And I wonder if that's situational, has to do with Jalen being out some, or is a concerted plan to, I don't know, wear him out?
No, it seems to happen like that at all times. Even in practice, we go out there and he works with the second group. Sometimes he works with the first group. He moves all around. You get pass rush opportunities. You get him back out there to do some different things. And, he just doesn't seem to wear down or get as tired as you would think. And he's just able to play and fight through it. It's like tonight in the second half, he was the emergency rusher and had to go out there in a coach situation to make sure people can get through the game and do some different things. So he goes out and plays a bunch of snaps for us, and he looks great, looks fine, looks healthy, and he loves playing football. And he's just one of those guys that can do it. And he's shown us that he's in elite shape. He's shown us that he's getting in better shape as we go. He's really dedicated himself to our performance team and what we're asking him to do. And I couldn't be more pleased with the efforts that he's given us.
How difficult is it going to be to cut that edge rusher to the 53?
Terry's got some tough decisions, man. I hate to be him. But that's a good problem, right? You got a good problem when you got a bunch of edge guys that you really love, and you got a bunch of guys that go out there and play really hard. And we'll make those decisions together, obviously, like we always do. And we'll always think about the team and what makes us better.
You really gained some momentum in that third quarter. What do you make of what the team was able to do coming out the locker room today?
It really was. We didn't kill ourselves. You know, we didn't get the penalties that we got in the first half to stop some drives. That was the main thing on offense. Had a couple good runs in the first half. I think Nathan had another big run that got called back on a hold-in. We had a couple things on the outside. We jumped offside, set us back, put us in passing situations. So we really did a nice job of coming out, limiting the penalties in the second half. I believe we had 3 in the second half. We had 7 in the first. That's unacceptable. So if we can go out and find ways not to hurt ourselves and play our brand of football, it should look like that most of the time as opposed to not.
Braylon Trice was able to get in there and get some action for the first time in over a year. What did you see from him? Just early returns. You haven't seen it on film, but what were your early impressions?
It was great to watch him go set some edges. It was great to watch him go rush the passer. You know, that's part of it. You know, like Braylon, when you're bringing him back, you're piecemealing him in, so you want to get him some action with a certain snap count, and then he has to come out. Then James replaces that role for him, so he gets a little bit more. But, you know, I was really pleased to see Braylon getting back out there and getting active again, getting acclimated to playing live football, live tackle. You know, we eased him into it, got a couple good practices. He played in our scrimmage versus each other. He was able to go through our joint practices this week, and then to get him into a game is the next big step for him, crossing that hurdle. So really fired up to see where he's going as well.
Zach was on the field tonight. Is he trying that out? Is that just for tonight?
Zach, as in Harris?
Robinson.
Zach Robinson. Oh, no.
OC.
We had TJ Yates calling tonight, and TJ replaced him, so he was up in the box calling it. Zach was down, you know, serving as the TJ model.
Okay.
So today, Zach was the passing game coordinator, and TJ was the offensive coordinator. TJ went up in the box and called the game, and then Zach was next to me, being in that supportive role and doing those different things. Sorry, I got a couple different Zachs.
No, I should have been.
Yeah, we had TJ
specific.
TJ Yates called the game for us on offense tonight.
That's just a sort of an in case to give TJ some reps.
It's just a sort of like we've been talking about since we built this staff as developmental staff and getting ready for the next man up mentality. You know, giving guys opportunity to put themselves in those positions. You know, like particularly around that quarterback room. You know, we talked about it when I was hired about bringing guys in, having a developmental staff, having a little bit bigger staff to be able to do some of those things, to be able to role change and role clarity, and to be able to get those things across. So I thought it worked out great. You know, it was a poise. He called it poise. He did a great job. Got the call out to the quarterbacks. Was able to show some real ownership of the offense, and all those things are very helpful for us.
Did you consider letting Lenny Krieg try a 65-yarder on the final?
I didn't.
Play that?
I did not. You know, Lenny was down tonight as far as the his kicking responsibilities. Did our kickoffs for us tonight? It was coup, and we didn't consider it. We were going for the win. You know, I'm not a big tie guy in preseason. I'm just going for the win.
In terms of getting ready for week 1, do you feel like you got more out of the joint practices or the game tonight?
I think both. You know, like in the joint practices, you get different looks from your opponent that you didn't get tonight, things of that nature. So you get a lot of stuff from, you know, for your offense, your defense, and your special teams, some of the looks that you're hiding from other opponents across the league. And we're able to do those things in those practices and get real valuable tape. But I think also you go out and you find real role clarity for some of the guys that are on the middle tier of your roster, the bottom half of your roster, how they make it, how they do those things. And then you go out there and watch special teams, and those are more realistic evaluations of what game tape looks like when you got to bring people to the ground, all of that space and some of those things that you can't really simulate when you're practicing against each other when you're doing special teams, which is probably the hardest one to simulate, right? You can simulate tackles on defense. You can simulate blocking on offense. It's harder to simulate some of those things on special teams, and you really get a chance to get that done tonight, and I really love that.